Good morning everyone. So hope you have gone through all the lectures uploaded till now. Now we will be continuing with the next topic, which consists of basic testing preliminaries. Right? So we'll be discussing some basics of software testing, which includes the most important point, that is psychology of software testing. Few definitions that will be covered here. What is the difference between effective and exhaustive testing? Why effective testing is considered to be hard, and software testing as a process. So what do you mean by psychology of software testing? Up till now, we have assumed that testing is a process of demonstrating that there is no error. We perform the testing, we compile our code and test is just to demonstrate that there is no error. If you get no error, zero errors and zero warning, we'll say our system is good. But do it actually happens? No. Testing is not the process of demonstrating that there is no error. Rather, we'll say testing is a process of executing a program with the intent of finding errors. Our aim in testing will be to identify maximum possible errors by giving different varieties of input. And if we are able to identify the error, then we will say the testing is good. Else it's useless performing a testing if there is no error. So you can check from here, the purpose of testing is to show the software performs its intended functions correctly. This definition is correct but partially. If testing is performed keeping this goal in mind, then we cannot achieve the desired goal. Testing approach is based on the human psychology that human beings tend to work according to the goals fixed in their mind. Right? We always work whatever we have set in our mind कि मुझे ये करना है. If someone tells me no, this is not wrong, you have to do it this way, but whatever I set in my mind, I'll go with that only. But maybe that is wrong. So if we have a preconceived assumption that the software is error free, then consequently we will design the test cases to show that the module runs smoothly. What does it mean actually? Say I am supposed to evaluate some students, not a regular evaluation, maybe the student is being caught in certain mischief, right? So we have to evaluate. So what is our mindset? That he is not a good student. So I put up the questions in such a way that he is not able to answer it. But if a regular evaluation is going on and I am supposed to evaluate the student, and I have by taking the classes for so long, I have a conception like, okay, these students are good students because they respond in the class. So if I am supposed to evaluate them, I know they are good. I'll put simple questions that they will be able to answer because they were attentive in the class and they are able to perform good. So this is what is with the testing also. The psychology works here. If I want something should work properly, that means there is no error. So I give the inputs in such a way that it runs properly. But if I am supposed to identify certain error or problem in that code or the program or the software, I'll try to identify different inputs so that in one or the other input it fails. Right? This is psychology, and this is what actually happens in the case of testing, that you are supposed to identify the errors. Why we are trying to give different varieties of input, why we are trying to identify the bugs? Because bugs are sometimes hidden, which does not get revealed with the simple inputs, but it is there. Say if you give that software which has error to the customer and he tested with that abnormal input which you haven't, and it might fail in that case, right? So we try, as far as the development team member and the testers are involved, they try to identify maximum possible errors to make it a successful project. So on the other hand, if our goal is to demonstrate that the program has errors, then we will design test cases having a high probability to uncover the errors. So just a simple psychology. So we just modify our existing testing definition and we'll say it is a process of executing a program with the intent of finding errors. Now take another example for this. So you go to the you are suffering from fever, right? And you're taking medicines from so long, but your fever is not going. So what your doctor suggests you? Doctor suggests to go for pathological test. Maybe the fever has certain reasons. It may be infection, it might be something else, not a normal just a temperature in that case. So when do we say the pathology tests are good? When it is able to identify the real cause of the infection which leads to increase in the temperature of the body. See, you have temperature, it is not going, and the pathology report says everything is okay. So do we say that tests are good? No, we'll say no, it's not good. It is not able to identify the root cause. So how can a doctor give a medication and treat you? But at the same time, if you go to some other pathology lab and you undergo the same test and it identifies certain infection in your body, we'll say it's good, right? So this is what we must perform the testing with the intent of finding errors which is able to identify the error. That is always good. So in case of medical diagnostic of a patient, if the laboratory tests do not locate the problem, then it cannot be regarded as a successful test. On the other hand, if the laboratory test determines the disease, then the doctor can start appropriate treatment. Thus, in the destructive approach of software testing, the definition of successful and unsuccessful testing should also be modified. That means we must include these parameters also in the software definition. So we'll see, we have more definitions, we'll be doing it, which is just a summarized form of what has been identified till now. So few software definition, like the simplest one is testing is the process of executing a program with the intent of finding errors. So initially we said just to find the errors, but as we identified more cases, we say a successful test is one that uncovers as and yet uncovered errors or undiscovered errors. That means that test is good which is able to identify those errors which has not been identified earlier. That will be a successful test. Then another came in the sequences, testing can show the presence of bug but never their absence. Right? It's not that we have to show ki errors are not there. We have to show error is present in our system. And more if you go on to a consolidated testing definition, software testing is a process that detects the important bugs with the objective of having a better quality software. We are not seeing all the bugs now. Important bugs. Important bug means maybe it is a critical bug that has to be minimized or removed. And maybe there is a minor bug which is not having an impact. Why to waste time? So we have to see the risk factor here. According to that, high risk bugs must be identified and should be removed, which leads to a better quality software. The customer will be satisfied, right? Because it is not going to, the minor bugs never going to impact the software actually. The major bugs leads to, right? Then comes is the difference between effective and exhaustive testing. Exhaustive testing is also known as complete testing, which means that every statement in the program and every possible path combination with every possible combinations of data must be executed. What does it mean? Complete testing is not that you know that for a program 10 inputs are there and I'm going to test with those 10 inputs. No. First of all, we have to check with each and every input whether it is a valid input or invalid input. Abnormal inputs are also given and the normal inputs are also given. Then in a code we have several path. Path, you can understand, path is just a route from source node to destination node, right? So you can have multiple paths depending upon the code. So you have to check each and every possible path also, as well as the combinations of data in the path also. So there are lot many things to be tested. This will be better clear with the examples. We'll be doing it in the subsequent lectures now onwards. Right? So every possible path combination with every possible combination of data needs to be executed. So it becomes an exhaustive task, right? Well, that is practically impossible, right? So what we go with? We go with effective testing. It says that efficient techniques to test the software so that important features will be tested within the constrained resources, right? Whatever customer states that I want, he must have assigned the priority, I want this only, right? So those relevant features which he is expecting in the given time, cost and effort, that we are supposed to check those only, right? Not all will be wasting time in that case. The testing process should be understood as a domain of possible test. There are subsets of these possible tests, but the domain of possible test becomes infinite as processing resources and time are not sufficient for performing these tests. Let's assume with the help of this diagram, we are saying that the square boundary is the domain of testing. That means we have lot many things to be tested here, while we have some subsets of testing which is actually required by the customer, right? Maybe the features that is required. So we have identified those inputs and the features, and accordingly we perform the testing depending upon the constraints we have on the resources and time. Then why do we say the complete testing is not possible? What is the exact reason? Vaguely we have said it's not possible because infinite number of inputs are possible. But when we come up to some specific examples, we'll find that the domain of possible input to the software is too large to be tested. This is normally we say it tends to infinite. There are too many possible paths to the program to test. Right? Whenever we make, actually what we do is we have a code, we make a control flow graph representing the nodes in the edges in that, and we need to identify the path. So again you will find that the number of paths are multiple, which also tends to infinite. So there are so many paths, so many test cases need to be designed accordingly. So it is time consuming. And every design error cannot be found. Each time you will find a new error comes in. Say you perform the coding also. Do always you encounter the same errors in all the programs in different labs? No. Each time you will find, or the same program if you run on different terminals, or multiple times you write the same program in the same terminal, new error might arise, right? So every time errors comes in which are distinct. And we are talking about design error in the case is designing is what we have broken down our main problem or complex problem into smaller subparts, right? So that interfacing errors between those modules and submodules, that is actually the design error or the interface errors actually, right? Now the domain of possible input to the software is too large to be tested. Let's assume when we are saying, see in the last slide we have seen the domain of testing is the square, while we have certain subsets. Now what does this subset actually constitutes of? The valid inputs, invalid inputs, edited inputs and race condition inputs. So see varieties of inputs that needs to be checked, and normally what we do is we only check for valid input only. This is the biggest mistake that we make, right? When we are supposed to check all possible set of inputs. So what are valid inputs? Let's assume we are supposed to check in the range -99 to 99. So how many total values would be there? The valid range will be 199 values. Right? So the total number of test cases combinations will be 39601. Further, if we increase the range from 2 digit to 4 digit, it will exponentially it keeps on increasing. Now what are invalid inputs? Invalid input means, say if we consider the same problem, then the values which are beyond the range, that is negative side values and more than or greater than 900 values. So out of range values can be given as an invalid input. Combination of alphabets and digits could be considered as an invalid input. Combination of all alphabets, because we are going to check number and you are giving alphabets here. Combination of control characters, again it will be act as an invalid one. Combination of any other key on the keyboard. So user can give intentionally, he can give some invalid input, or maybe just a typing error. This could be like while you are typing something, you press some other button, that could be also an invalid input. What are edited inputs? If we can edit input at the time of providing input to the program, then many unexpected input events may occur. For example, you can add many spaces in the input which are not visible to the user. That is edited input, right? It can be a reason for non-functioning of the program. The behavior of the user cannot be judged. Then race condition input. What is a race condition? This term is very common, that is known to you. For example, you can say there are two input events A and B. According to the design, A precedes B in most of the cases. But B can also come first in rare and restricted condition. This is a race condition whenever B precedes A. So you have to give some out of order inputs also in order to identify the error. So these are the different categories of test cases that has to be taken care of. Now the second reason, there are too many possible paths through the program to be tested. Right? Path, I have told you, is from the starting point till the destination node. We are talking about the path. So a program path can be traced to the code from the start of a program to its termination. Two paths differ if the program executes different statements in each or executes the same statement but in different order. That is considered to be different path. A testing person thinks that if all the possible path of control flow through the program are executed, then possibly the program can be said to be completely tested. However, there is a flaw in the statement. The number of unique logic paths through a program is too large. Right? We'll check this. You have done this in the last semester also, but again I'll take this example. And the second one is the complete path testing, if performed somehow, does not guarantee that there will not be errors. How will you try? You try to include test cases for each and every path that is possible. Even then, there are certain errors that will be left out. Let's see the example of a path. Say you have a sample code where we have a for loop which is executing I from 0 to n. Then what does it say? If m is greater than 0, xi equals to xi plus 10, else xi equals to xi minus 2. Simple. This is the code. Now if you make a control flow graph for this, see, the statements will be numbered and that statement will be called as a node here. So if I number for as 1, so I have written 1. Now the execution goes from 1 to this line. Either you will execute 2 or third statement, right, depending upon the condition. If this is true, fourth will be executed, else fifth and sixth will be executed, and again this loop indicates the for loop, end of a for loop. Right. So this is what is there. So how many paths are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. Another path could be 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 and 7. But if assume there is a path which points towards 1, in that case I can take this as one path, but maybe the you can say the condition is not fulfilled in case of a while. Again you are going to repeat this, again you are going to repeat this. So multiple times you can have multiple or infinite path in this, right? So checking each and every path will be very difficult. Then comes as the next one, every design error cannot be found. We can never be sure that the specifications are correct. Therefore, specification errors are one of the major reasons that make the design of the software faulty. Right? Because the input, the SRS document that you are getting from the requirement phase is actually having the error. So how well you design it, ultimately it is not going to fulfill the customer's requirement because we haven't specified it properly and we were not able to identify that error there, right? So if the user requirement is to have measurement unit in inches and the specification says that these are in meters, then the design will also be in meters. So it will definitely be an error. And secondly, many user interfaces failure are also design errors. So I have told you that interface is being designed here. So there are certain errors in these interfaces. Right? So these are the few things that has to be taken care of, right? Rest, you can say if why effective testing is hard, defects are hard to find actually, right? It is very difficult because defects, maybe they are the new defects. So how you will identify it? You don't know anything about that. But once your program fails, then you try to identify, search, then you come up with, okay, this was the error. So it's really difficult and trace back that. And we actually don't know when to stop testing. When we are done with the testing, what is that stopping criteria that will be acceptable by the customer? That is why we say effective testing is hard. The last topic is software testing as a process. Up till now we have seen that testing is considered to be a single-phased activity which is performed after coding. But you will find now onwards that it is a process which starts along with the software development life cycle. See, initially what was considered is, it was considered that in the software development process, testing is just a single phase. But now what is considered is, as soon as you start with the software development, that is SDLC, parallelly we start with the software testing, which is again a process which includes phases like test plan, test case design, test execution, post execution and review. So it is again a process which starts in parallel to the software development process, right? So just if you critically analyze, we say the following points are: testing process should be organized such that there is enough time for important and critical features of the software to be tested. You must have enough time for that. ऐसा नहीं है कि you just have 2 months for the entire software to be developed and you are just keeping 1 day for testing. No, which is not practically possible. It depends upon the functionalities, the criticality of that, the non-functional requirements. Accordingly, you have to allocate a proper time for this. Then testing techniques should be adopted such that these techniques detect maximum bugs. So we'll be working on these testing techniques also. We have number of techniques to perform the testing. So we must identify which particular technique is applicable in that particular, you can say, the type of project or the software you're testing. Then we must know the quality factors should be quantified so that there is a clear understanding in running the testing process. In other words, the process should be driven by quantified quality goals. What do you mean by quantified quality goals? Let's suppose we want our mobile operators to work 24/7. See, I have quantified कि अगर availability है तो वो 24/7 होना चाहिए. That means all 7 days and 24 hours. We are not saying कि it must work for 6 days. Sunday is a holiday. So holiday, we actually require mobile communication on Sundays also. That is every day, right? So this is what this quantification is important. If you want your software to be reliable, you have to quantify कितना reliable होना चाहिए. If you want it to be secure, which all functionalities, what is that acceptable limit, that has to be quantified. That is very important. Then only you can perform the testing. What is that? When we are saying when to stop the testing, so you must have some quantified goals. Once that is achieved, you will say testing is done. Then testing procedures and steps must be defined and documented. So documentation is very important in testing also. Whatever testing you're carrying out, the techniques, the procedures, whatever steps you're doing, everything has to be recorded and documented properly. And there must be scope for continuous process improvement. So there is not an end to anything. You have to continuously improve. So these are the summarized points for the testing. So go through it. In case of any difficulty, we'll discuss in the class. Thank you all.